Well, hi there everyone, and yes, this is an interesting video here. First of all, very big apologies. This video was supposed to be released like way back in Christmas, December, but there were a lot of hiccups with me. I overestimated myself and underestimated things and so on. And of course, life itself came in as me and my family went to celebrate after Christmas somewhere else. I was able to edit some things there, but then other things came in there and so on, and I wrote that thing way longer than I thought, and that affected the editing a lot. Hopefully from there I'll learn more about this stuff. And of course, remember that currently my English isn't that great. I try to get back to that I can read much clearer the lines and all that. I'll try my best. This is something new I am doing. So anyway, now that this is something new I want to try out, I have created the new YouTube channel for these things. I try to do, well, pretty much write stories and then read them out loud and maybe put some like music and sound effects there. And the thing is also that I'll be mostly, what I plan here is pretty much to do my own original stories that I then share with you guys on YouTube, and hopefully you will see and like them. The name of the channel is in the corner of the video, and I'll be later posting a video to that channel when I finally release something there. This video and the other one coming up with it, these two, you could say sort of me just trying to figure out things and just kind of how should I say, kind of commercializing myself with this. I'm not fully sure, but again, I really hope you guys will enjoy this video, and I very apologize for my somewhat crappiness in this. I of course try to improve over the time, and I'll keep you updated on the other channel. But don't worry, this channel I'll be doing at times some other random videos here. No doubt mostly reactions with my friends and maybe some other things, but we all shall see. But once again, I hope you will enjoy this, their second Christmas story, and hope you will be also back for the other one, the best hearts-warming Eve. That will be later. I'm not fully sure yet when, but hopefully it will be much faster than this one. But yeah, hope you guys will have a good time and you are able to enjoy the story that I wrote and then well, narrated. Also, my writing skills aren't the best ones, but still, again, hope you guys will enjoy it, and till the next video. So, bye, and late Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's.
Winter had come once again, burying the Moomin Valley under its snow. The valley once again transformed into a land of white, soft and cold snow that still seemed to have its own beauty and warmth, even if everyone did not see it that way, especially Moomin and his family. But they didn't care, as they were hibernating through it. Of course, at times, Moomin himself dreamt of the times when he was awake for the winter and the adventures he had. But now, he was having more of warmer dreams. Dreams of beautiful and warm summer, he and his friends sitting on a field of grass while Snufkin played his harmonica. He dreamed like this every time he went to hibernate with his family. Next to him lay Snork Maiden, moaning quietly like a princess asleep, as Moomin would say. Downstairs was his parents' bedroom, where Moomin Papa and Moomin Mama slept calmly. The family was most certain that this winter they wouldn't be awoken up like last winter, the winter when they were awoken because of Christmas, whatever that was. They never knew, as Christmas never showed up and instead they gave all their foods and presents to some unknown people who most certainly had enjoyed the things they have made for Christmas. And it seems that either Christmas never came even close to them, or if it did at all, it was in some way satisfying. Hopefully that meant that Christmas would leave them alone for a long time, or even forever. So they didn't need to wake up for it again. But of course that wouldn't be the case. Without any knowledge in their sleep, the Moomins had no idea of someone walking across the snowy fields towards their house. Moomin Troll stirred in his sleep. He dreamt of the day when that strange Hemulen had banged on his room's window, waking him up, telling him to hurry up to prepare for Christmas. But this time the Hemulen banged on the window in much quicker and harder pace, and his voice sounded more high-pitched. "Wake up, Moomin!" In a jolt, Moomin was not only up, but he was also facing the roof of his room, while back of his head was hurting badly, and he saw his legs still on the bed, while Snork Maiden got up sluggishly, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. Moomin got up and went to the window and opened it, immediately greeted by a cold winter breeze. He shivered from the cold. That was one of the many things he hated about winter. The cold that made him almost crawl, made him feel cold and shivering. It was not welcoming at all, unlike the warm summer breeze. It was like winter was this cruel thing that was teasing them. But more importantly, he got a better look at the person who had awoken them from their hibernation. He was a small person, just maybe a bit higher than Little Mai, and just like her, the person was wearing a red dress, or was it like a robe? He could have easily mistaken him for one of the many Little Mai's brothers or sisters. But the way Stranger was dressed up, it was certain that he didn't belong to that family. The robe, he guessed, had some whiteness around the sleeves. Around the shoulders, Moomin saw strange green markings. They made him think of plant vines with leaves. Instead of pointy red head, the stranger was wearing a pointy red hat, colored in green, with little red stripes on top. "Good evening!" the stranger greeted with glee. "What is so good about this?" Moomin asked. "We were sleeping, and then you come up and wake us." Stranger muttered something first, making strange hand signs, no doubt trying to explain himself, until finally he composed himself. "Sorry about that, my friend," he said sheepishly, rubbing his hands together nervously. "I didn't mean anything malicious. It's just, well, there's something important I want to tell you all." "Well, what is it?" Snork Maiden asked before Moomin could. The cold air had done enough to wake her up, and now that she had fully awoken, she wanted to know what this stranger wanted from them. "I hope it isn't anything terrible." "Oh, don't worry, nothing of the sort," the stranger said with a smile. "All in all, very good news. You see, Christmas coming soon!" he exclaimed excitedly, his arms spread wide. "Again!" Both Moomin and Snork Maiden looked at him with large eyes and bland looks. Last thing that either of them had expected to hear. Just what they didn't need. "Excuse me, but what?" Moomin asked more calmly than he had expected, but there was a hint of shock in his tone. But that didn't change the stranger's mood at all. In fact, his smile, or smirk, seemed to become even more brighter. "Don't worry at all, my friends," he said happily. "Just do what you did last time. I'll be back later in the evening, like really later, with some friends." Then he said, turning away from the two. "Laters!" he said, jumping from the edge of the window. "Wait!" both Moomin and Snork Maiden yelled in terror as the stranger jumped down. Both of them worried he might hurt himself badly, even if there was a large amount of snow under them, but you never knew. Since both of them were so round, one of them couldn't take a good look to see what had happened to the stranger, and that certain one was, well, Of course, Snork Maiden, Moomin, after getting over the shock of seeing the stranger just jumping down, had quickly crawled out of his window to have a good look of the possible damages. Is he alright, Moomin? He heard Snork Maiden asking, redly worried and scared. What can you see? For a short moment, Moomin was afraid to look down, but he had to make sure. Slowly and scared, he peeped from the edge of his home's roof, and he saw nothing. What you said? Snork Maiden asked, not believing what she was hearing. But sure, there has to be something there. She tried to get Moomin to move, but that was not possible. But what Moomin said was true. He didn't see any part of snow that was disturbed by anyone who just jumped from the roof of their home. No red or any other colors were around, just large amount of white, the white snow. And down there he saw some footsteps on the snow, no doubt the strangers, but there were no footsteps that led back, and no others around their house that could say that he just very quickly would have ran to the opposite side of the house to hide himself from them, for whatever reason. I don't really see him anywhere, Moomin said, crawling back inside, the coldness starting to get to him. Very strange, he muttered. Is this going to be every year thing? Snork Maiden asked, very annoyed. This is now the second time someone woke us up, and now this! Another Christmas event. We must be prepared and be uncertain if this Christmas will never appear. Moomin placed a comforting hand on Snork Maiden's shoulder. Don't worry, we don't have to stay up so late this time. Hopefully. And he did say that he wanted to bring some friends with him. Maybe they come to defend us from Christmas. Snork Maiden let out a very long and tired sigh. I don't mind us doing winter adventures, but can we at least decide if we like to wake up and do them by ourselves? Moomin let out a little chuckle at Snork Maiden's question. Hopefully this might be the last time, and we can just hibernate. Both of them left to wake up Moomin Mama and Papa to give them the explanation of what just happened and what they needed to do. Of course, Moomin's parents didn't like the news. Why wake them up like that, just to repeat something that they already did last winter? But the odd departing of the stranger did make them think that there was a bit more to this Christmas thing, whatever it was. Hopefully it was more for the good than bad. Moomin and Papa once again went to get a good enough tree to decorate, while Mama and Snork Maiden did the food and other treats. And just everyone that was awake in Moomin Valley, everyone was preparing for Christmas once again. With all the happenings and the shortness of the day, night had already fallen, and the tree which Moomin and his father had found was fully lit and decorated, surrounded by candles, presents covered in various newspapers that Moomin Papa had not thrown away yet, to which Mama had said, I did say we might need some of them. Good to be just prepared. The whole family had just silently thanked Moomin Mama, what seemed to be like very good foresight. And finally, once again, the decorated tree was surrounded by all kinds of food and treats, and right next to this amazing gathering were the Moomin family, this time dressed better for the outside winter. Moomin Papa this time leaving his hat out, now wearing a flappy cap on his head, cap's flappy ears nicely laying on his head, protecting it and his ears better from the cold. He was also wearing winter boots and gloves. Moomin Mama and Snork Maiden had the same clothing, except on their heads they were wearing pairs of fluffy ear flaps covering their ears. Moomin himself didn't wear any hats on his head, but had tied a scarf around his head, but he also was wearing winter boots and gloves. All of them waited for the stranger to appear again. All around them they saw many dim lights of candles and torches that lit many homes of the valley. All of them once again ready for this Christmas. Papa, are we going to wait just as long as last time? Moomin then asked, rubbing his shoulders, the cold starting to bother him. Most certainly not, Papa answered with certainty, Last time was rather somewhat a wasted time, but also not so. I agree, dear, Mama replied. It was really fun to make these preparations back then, just as now. Making the food, decorating the tree, and wrapping the presents. But all that work was really for nothing, it seemed. Not fully, Snork made it intervened. We did give those little creatures a good time, night to remember, no doubt, she said with a smile. That you certainly did, a familiar voice suddenly said, just under them. The Moomin family looked with shocked looks down, seeing the familiar stranger standing there in front of them, with his red and white green robe and green red pointy hat. On his waist was very genuine smile, and behind him were people looking very similar like him. Probably all of them had some kind of robe and hat, although some had different colors, while others weren't wearing anything, as they were some kind of forest creatures that any of them haven't seen before. How did you do that? Snork Maiden exclaimed in shock and surprise. A little bit of Christmas magic. Stranger chuckled, amused with the reaction he had received. I see you got everything ready. I hope you had some fun preparing all of this for Christmas. Christmas magic? The whole family mouthed, confused completely. Now this Christmas creature held some kind of magic with it, and just appear like that, without any warning? Why didn't it then appear to them last time they prepared for it? Moomins looked at each other's, then turning to look back at the stranger. It was certainly a lot of fun, Moomin Mama said. But we would really like to know what all this is for, Moomin Papa continued. We don't always want to do something without a reason, even if it is at times really fun. Good to know, Stranger nodded, smiling. Now then, time for proper introductions. His smile waning as he took off his hat. Greetings, Moomin family! I am Tonru, one of many spirits of Christmas, he proclaimed very proudly. The Moomin family was really surprised by the level of class the person they now knew as Tonru showed. Like his more mischievous side had taken a complete turn. Wait! Moomin interrupted, realizing what Tonru had just said. What do you mean one of the spirits of Christmas? What does that mean? And what this Christmas really is? He asked Tonru, who had put his hat back on his head. Well, I'm a spirit that goes around to spread the feeling and cheer of Christmas, or just to make sure that any Christmas can be more enjoyable, he replied. And there are many of us, since there are a lot of people that live on this world. Don't you agree? He asked with an own smile. The Moomins again looked at each other, very confused. Just what Tonru had explained to them, it still felt so strange. They shared now confused looks with each other's, and Tonru saw that he still had little more explaining to do. This was of course a family that slept through winter, was missing many amazing moments it could share. So, this Christmas you've been worrying about, Tonru started, getting the family's attention. It's not really any kind of creature as you thought, he explained. It is more like a celebration, like your midsummer, or Easter, or any other holiday you celebrate during spring or summer, or even fall. The examples that Tonru gave them seemed to light something inside the Moomins, a realization. This Christmas was just like any other holiday they liked to celebrate when they were awake. But Tonru wasn't done with his explanation. He just waited a bit more to let his words to sink in before he continued. But also, Christmas is about well-being of others, charity, and simply just sharing goodwill to everyone, he continued, the whole family listening him with great interest. That's why there are gifts and food to be made, so they can be shared, to give people a memorable day, to cheer them up, to show them that there is kindness still, even just to complete strangers. Tonru chuckled. Something what you did last Christmas, he said then. Moomins showed a very big surprise towards that comment. They had no idea how Tonru knew about it. They had. How did you know about that? Moomin asked. Well, word traveled fast, you can say. After that Christmas celebration that you gave those little creatures, they told lot of about you and your kindness, just giving out your food and presents to strangers. He explained. With Tonru's smile spread more and more. The Moomin saw how much this thing affected him. Is that why you are here? Moomin Mama asked. To congratulate us on what we did? Most certainly, yes, Tonru said with a laugh. In fact, that is why I brought some of my fellow spirits here, to give you something for this Christmas. Tonru once again paused, letting his words to sink in. This time, you get gifts and a party! With that, Tonru spread his arms, suddenly flying upwards. Shocked gasps were heard from the Moomins, as not only Tonru flied up like a ghost, but many of his fellow spirits, all of them, well, those that were flying, flew at their house, circling it like a fishes in a water bowl. And then something started to happen, like small stars starting to fall onto their house. Some small stars gathered around each other's, creating larger ball of light. Also, ice began to form under their windows. Icicles grew very large, and they sparkled beautifully from the light that the house was surrounded. Also, the icicles didn't look so cold. Instead, it looked like they hold their own little warmth inside of them, like little lights with candles, with different kind of fire that did not burn you, even if you touched it. Snow and frost also had been given more light and sparkle, as if instead of cold and wet and just uncomfortable, they had more warm and welcoming look, giving extra lighting to the house. Many of the stars had formed into larger, rounder forms of light that just hang on the wall of the house, and right atop the house a very large star stayed in place, like someone had just went to the heavens themselves and just carried it down and placed it atop of their house. Moomins marveled this, what they called a miracle that happened in front of them. The house looked so different. In fact, you could say that it looked like a very large version of a Christmas tree. It was simply breathtaking. Also, the spirits that had stayed feet straight on the ground hadn't been slacking around. They had immediately ran to the tree where the Moomins were and just started to dance, while murmuring something in a language none of the Moomins had heard of. It almost sounded like some kind of song. As they continued, more food and drinks and gifts and many other things seemed to appear, literally from the snow itself. First, it looked like a very good snow sculpture that then changed its color, and soon had more warmer and real look to it. And then they heard as music started to play and the murmurs had stopped. Now everyone was just dancing with each other. So taken were the Moomin family that they failed to notice when Tonru lowered himself in front of them. He let out a very loud cough, getting their attention. We hope that this is a good repayment, he said. No one could exactly say how thankful they were. But then again, there probably was no need for any words. Tonru no doubt knew how thankful and of course a bit dumbfounded the Moomin family was. This was something new they haven't received before, and didn't probably knew that they needed something like this. Merry Christmas! Tonru then exclaimed, spreading his arms, jumping at the Moomins in an attempt to getting a very tight hug, which he received when the Moomins realized what he tried to do. After what felt like a long hug session, everyone let go. Feelings were through the, roof, even if no one was inside at the moment. And Tonru knew what they had to do next. Now, let's not idle, he proclaimed. Let's enjoy your first and proper Christmas party! Moomins celebrated through the night, enjoying the company of spirits, enjoying each other's food and drinks, giving out presents to each other. This would be a night that stayed with the Moomins as long as they lived. From here, they would remember that, even during cold winter, you still can find warmth, especially by surprise.